Hey peers, Jacquelyn here, and welcome to episode number 3 of JW Warren LLC Presents PEP, Professionals Empowering Peers. Today we have the opportunity to sit down with the author of Right His Wrongs From Heartbreak to Love Notes, Wesley.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you for coming here and joining us and talking a little bit about your book, but not too much about the book, more so the process of writing the book. So let's just start off and let's talk about the book itself. So what inspired you to write the book?
It was, I would say, a collection of things. It's interesting. The timing is almost perfect and surreal because Toni Morrison, you know, her recent passing, she said one day, I read a quote, said, if there's a book that you want to read and it hasn't been written yet, then you must be the one to write it.
And that's in the beginning of your book.
So I actually mentioned in the beginning of my book, and you know, I think just being on social media and just growing up in New York, we always hear men this, women this, but we are so similar, but I think we've forgotten that, and I think there was a lack of communication. So I wanted to build a platform and create something that kind of bridged that gap, and that's how it started. But I used my personal stories, dark and light, to get my message across and really express love from a different angle and from a different perspective, but a really honest and transparent.
So what makes your book with this concept different than other books that have maybe a similar concept?
Because it's me.
Okay.
No. Well, I don't know if I would say it's different because it's my story and no one else can tell my story but myself.
You're right.
But I've been able to effectively put people's feelings into words, and that's the feedback that I've gotten.
Okay.
And you don't really see too many black men discussing this in a poetic form or a lyrical essay form.
Very true.
And using pieces together to tell a story, and that's what's unique about my book.
Okay, that's fair. So I know you said this in your book that you have been writing basically what's in the book for 9 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
So when you first started writing, what was the first situation that inspired you to write, number one? And then did you know at that moment that later on you would have a book?
No.
Okay. So what was that first situation that inspired you to start writing?
So I was young and I was in a very turbulent relationship.
Okay.
And my girlfriend at the time, we got into an extremely bad argument. And she storms out the apartment, and I just remember having a bottle of E&J VSOP.
Oh gosh.
Because I was fancy, not the regular E&J, it was the E&J VSOP.
Okay.
And I just poured a drink. I'll never forget, it was about 11:30 at nighttime. It was a bottle, my glass, and a computer.
Okay.
And I wrote the opposite of what I was feeling. Because I was like, I know what love is supposed to feel like, and this isn't it. Okay. And so I started typing something. I really typed the extreme opposite of what I was feeling at that moment. And interesting, 9 years later, the last piece of my book is called Before I Say I Do. And that was the piece I wrote that night.
Oh, wow.
And so it's all the feelings I wanted to have before I got married, and I knew this wasn't it. And so it came around full circle when I published the book, because I wanted to end the book on that. Yeah. So that's like a little fun fact that most people don't know.
The irony of that.
The irony, right?
Pretty amazing. Wow. Okay. So.
And also with that situation, it taught me that you can turn pain into beauty. So it was very difficult for people to get me upset, because all I had to do was get a pen, and I would just take my frustration out in the ink.
How often did you spend time writing?
Every time I got into an argument. So it'd be like, so it's funny because I started, my friend Mike Brown forced me to create a website. Okay. And I would just post like every 3 months. You know, like when things were a little topsy-turvy. So I wasn't writing all the time. But then just later on, you start to develop a following, and it's like, why are people paying attention to me? It's just me. Right. But you realize that your story is very similar to other people. Yeah. And that's how I started. And
I think what you said is important, especially coming from a male's perspective, to say the same things that a female is thinking. They're not vulnerable as much. So to be able to do that and read it and say, well, a male wrote this. Yeah. That's deep. Yeah. And you touched on something I wanted to talk about. Sure. You talked about building your following. So right now your Instagram page has 111,000 followers.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah,
How did you do that?
I tell people it's consistency.
Okay.
I think it's a bit of blessing and knowing the right people. When I first started, my goal the first year was maybe to hit 3K. That would have been ideal for me. And I almost quit Instagram maybe a couple months in.
Oh, wow.
Because it wasn't picking up like I wanted to. And the same person that made me create my website told me, he said, before you hit a blessing, you'll always hit a wall. And I just kept posting, and that first year, instead of hitting 3, I ended up hitting, I think, about 8,000, right? But I was consistent, I was genuine.
Right.
I was relatable because I try, no matter how many comments, I try to respond to everyone.
You do? Okay, good.
Because my response, we're all in it together.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to be picked up by a group of Instagram writers that actually had larger followings than me.
Oh, really?
And they're like, we really love your work. We're trying to put this rat pack of writing together.
Oh, wow.
And that helped me in the beginning. One of them is really extremely popular, Pierre Genti, Gentlemanhood.
Okay.
That's my friend Alex. His birthday was yesterday. And that also helped. So we were pushing each other and sharpening each other's skills, but at the same time promoting one another. Even though that group, because there were more writers, but even though it broke apart, but that helped me, and I just literally posted every day. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. And I think it's important for social media to respond.
Yeah. When
you're responding to people's comments, because otherwise they think you're either too good or they think that you just want the attraction but not willing to give anything. You just kind of robotic with it. And I think that definitely goes a long way. And then people, word of mouth, they start to tell other people, oh, this writer, he's really dope, and he responds, like he'll answer your question, or he'll just have a conversation. So I think that does go a long way.
I feel like the content was a little bit different also, because when I started, it was that wave where it was just men speaking on behalf of women. And I'm like, you guys don't know what women are thinking. It's the most, when you're dating, you realize how your thinking is different,
Yeah.
When you have, I used to joke around, I don't know why I had 2 bath towels in my bathroom, but she said we needed 2 bath towels. One was for decor. I'm like, I wouldn't just use one to wash my head, like. So I'm like, how are you writing books on, a woman's thinking when we don't think alike? That's why we have to communicate. That's where we meet in the middle. And so when I started, it was dark. It was real. I would call men out, but I would also call women out, because no one is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's what also allowed me to stand apart from the millions of other people that were doing it.
Right, right. What else do you do?
I'm a professional whiskey drinker.
All right, now.
I do so I do have a 9 to 5, so I'm not a full-time author yet. That's the goal.
Okay.
So I work with community development and helping inner city youth get back on the right track.
Nice.
So like I said, I'm big on empowering
that's great.
young people my age, even older. We're all in this together. So I'm doing that for 9 to 5. And writing. To be honest with you, I feel like that's my day job, and then this is my night job.
Okay.
So I'm kind of saving and inspiring youth in the daytime,
Right.
and then just inspiring a whole different audience
Right.
once I clock out. But just living life as much as I can.
That's important.
Yeah, we never know how much time we have.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to just enjoy the moments, enjoy the process, enjoy the time until I meet Oprah and get that going, like throwing stuff out in the universe. Like it's what I do, just spending time with friends and family.
That's good.
Yeah, and writing a lot.
Yeah.
I write a lot.
The last thing that I wanted to ask you about the book, you had a really amazing book signing. I was there.
Yeah, cool.
So it was really good.
Cool.
Now, did you plan that yourself? And is it necessary for all authors once they publish their book?
No, I didn't plan it myself. I had help.
Okay.
I am a terrible planner. I have the highest respect for event planners because it's just not the way my brain works. I just want to show up, And so I had help, and my friend, who's another entrepreneur, she started I Don't Do Clubs.
Okay.
She's one of the ones that put the bat in my back.
Okay.
Like, Harsh, you're gonna have a book signing. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I have like 50 people. She's like, are you serious? I was like, okay, maybe 70. She's like, and once again, it was that fear of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
What if you have this big space and 2 people show
Exactly.
up? But now I'm getting to the point where, well, if it's 2 people, I'm gonna just perform for 2 people,
Exactly.
right? But it wasn't there at that time,
Right.
and so I would say it's necessary because it makes it real.
Mm-hmm.
And you're ultimately putting yourself out there,
Right.
and now the world knows. Not only do I have a book, but now you're the face behind the book. Because
Yeah.
for the longest time when I was writing, I would never post pictures on Instagram. I always kept it about the words.
Okay.
And I didn't really want to be the face of it. I just really wanted to help people.
Okay.
And after a while, with any business, you have to step out and be the face of your business. It's just,
You do.
that's the only way it's going to grow, because not only do they fall in love with the service and the product, they fall in love with the owner.
Absolutely.
And so you have to, so the book signing did that. Like, there was
Okay.
no hiding behind the tree after that. It's
Right.
like I had to really just step forward and be more present and visual.
And you had a lot of people.
Yeah.
You had a lot of people.
But and one thing I learned, you just never know who's paying attention. You don't know
That's
who's
true.
life. Right? Even with this video,
Yeah.
you don't know whose life you just changed
Right.
forever
Right.
just from this interview. And so that's one thing I learned from the book signing. I couldn't imagine that many people.
Yeah.
That many. For me,
Right.
kid from Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Well,
But then, yeah, like step into your power, step into your magic, and
exactly.
yeah.
Well, it was a really good event, very successful, and I think that for someone who is purchasing the book, to see the author there and to, you know, even if they are this very large famous author or if they are a new author, it doesn't matter, but just to have that access to that person, it does make it real for the person who wants to purchase the book.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are active on social media and communicating, that makes it even more real. So it's all of these factors that play a part into someone not only loving your work, but loving the person that wrote it as well and wanting to support that person. So I think you have the total package of that, and it's very good.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Of course. So thank you so much. Did you have any final words of advice to our peers?
Like the empowering advice?
Any empowering advice?
Just be able to adjust, start like and start. Fear isn't a blessing. That's one thing I've learned. Fear doesn't push you forward, doesn't help you out. It's you being your worst enemy. And there is a completely different world outside of your comfort zone. So I really encourage you, just step out on faith, and whatever voice that's been in your head that's been saying, I need to do this, listen to it. It's not an accident. You are not crazy. That is your passion speaking to you, and you have to follow it. And it's the most freeing. It's scary. I'm going to be honest. It's very scary, but it'll be one of the most freeing experiences that you will ever have in your life. So just step out on faith and follow your dream and your passions.
Thank you for tuning into episode number 3. I really appreciate you coming here and talking a little bit about your book, but more so about this process and really providing some encouragement and the tools that people need to start somewhere. We just have to start, right?
Just have to start. Just get out there and start.
Exactly. So please follow him on all of his social media platforms, and you could share those with us.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, most social media pages at Right His Wrongs, WRITEHIS Wrongs, WRONGS. And you can also get the book, purchase the book From Heartbreak to Love Note at www.righthiswrongs.com/shop. Thank you.
Please support this.
Support.
This is
Support.
an amazing book. And like I was able to interpret one of the passages in a different way, you should probably be able to do the same thing if necessary. If love necessarily isn't what you're about or what you really care about, there are some passages in here that are more relatable in a different way. You just gotta think outside the box. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the page and tune in next time.